Extinction Rebellion, in my opinion, is our last and only chance to save humanity before we go past the point of no return. What the scientists are saying is that, well, we could be already past it, hopefully not. We won't know till it's too late, but Will Steffen and various other scientists say that we could pass the point of no return while we still stay under 2 degrees. All this stuff about 2 degrees being safe turns out to be completely not true. So we've got to go as hard as we can. We've got to have some chance of winning. People, I think, for a long time have known what the technological solutions were, but they've been very pessimistic about the political solutions. And look, so have I. I've tried everything. I helped launch the campaign, the petition to declare a climate emergency. I helped organise the People's Climate March, 6 months of outreaching to various people, a great big day of marching. The school kids strike is fantastic, but it's one day, and I think it's shifted things a little bit, but it's not going to get the big changes we need.
My name's Christina, I'm 65 years old, I've got 2 children. I'm extremely fearful about the kind of future they're going to have. The scientific predictions about what climate change is going to do to the world and to humanity have become apocalyptic, really. And it's unbelievable to me that governments and powerful people aren't doing anything about it.
Well, again, we feel like it is actually the only alternative we've got left. We can run all over the country trying to stop Adani and shut down this fracking in the Northern Territory and save the forest and save a kelp forest and stop gas in the Bight, but we've got no time. So what we're actually trying to do is go to the centre of the big cities, close things down for long enough so that we're actually causing some economic pain. And the experience in London is that they shut down London for 11 days. The Conservative government came and negotiated with them and declared a climate and ecological emergency. So that's our hope, that we go straight to the centre of power. Like, if we could do it in Canberra, we would, but Australia's so big, so we're doing it in Melbourne. Our aim is obviously not to disadvantage, to cause inconvenience to ordinary people, but we actually can find no way of causing enough pain to the government that they will negotiate on something that they are very much inclined not to negotiate on. So that's the rationale. And the interesting thing is that the research on public attitudes in London shows that from before, during and after the 11 days of complete massive disruption, people became more convinced it was really serious, became more dissatisfied with what the government was doing, and became more willing to take action. So look, yeah, there'll probably be some angry motorists today, or even angry members of the public who are blocking trams. But in the end, a real lot of the people will go, oh, this is a real inconvenience. But I realise that the only chance for my kids is you guys doing this. So look, a real surprising number of people say just good on you.
First thing is to stop using fossil fuels. The Adani mine, the opening of the Adani mine is absolutely appalling because it's a new coal mine. The point of that is to reduce carbon emissions from the atmosphere, which are the primary cause of climate change. We need to have net zero emissions by 2030. And I get very frightened every time I hear a politician talking about sliding around on that.
The first and very important one is to tell the truth, and what that means is to declare a climate and ecological emergency and declare a climate and ecological emergency and work with the press, government to work with the press to convey to people that it really is actually an emergency. That's tell the truth. Second one is to take action. Zero net emissions by 2025, which is just one way of saying as fast as humanly possible. We've got to stop making the world hotter. It's already too hot. We're already seeing terrible things happening. So we get to zero as fast as it can. We'll actually have to go past that and do drawdown, but let's get to zero first. Third one, people used to say to me, oh, declare a climate emergency. That's sort of scary. That could be like really totalitarian. So the really exciting thing that Extinction Rebellion says is the whole process of the emergency transition to be controlled by the people via deliberative democracy. We'll have representative democracy still, but deliberative democracy is the voice of the people coming up. So when I first heard about citizens' assemblies, I thought, oh, what's this? This is so weird. But it's basically just randomly selecting a largish number of people, 100 or 200 or more, sitting them down over like a long time, like several weeks or many, many weekends, giving them access to all the best experts, and then helping them really think in a constructive, collaborative way what is the best way forward, because it's based on the idea that if you sit down people away from all their factions and their ideologies and just say, do you want to save your children? 99% of people will go, yeah, let's work together and try and do it. It's one of those things that unites 99%, or you say 99.9% of people. They want a habitable planet for their children. So that's the voice of the people will come up through the People's Assembly.
If we don't open the Adani mine or any new coal mines, if we don't start any new fracking, we're already well down the way to cutting carbon emissions dramatically. And with the coal mines that are coal-fired power stations that are already operating, we would hope to transfer over. We are already transferring over to renewables, and to do that with a just transition for all the workers involved. I think if people understood and were told the truth, which is one of Extinction Rebellion's principles, were told the truth about what climate change is bringing, they would be desperate to change their lives. There are numerous things you can do besides cutting your fossil fuels. If we reduce the amount of meat we eat, we reduce land degradation and the emissions caused by cattle. So the way we travel, the way we eat, and the way we use energy, there's numerous ways we can change our lives in all of those areas.
It's been completely different in terms of media support, public support. As people become aware that it's everyone's children and their futures that are at risk, the public support is unbelievable. We're getting just floods of people joining us, and massive support from the media, which is really very gratefully received. Well, a paradoxical thing about Extinction Rebellion is that we agree on the problems, that everything about our current system is broken, that our political system is not representing us, that our economic system is based on the myth that endless growth on a finite planet is possible. So we agree on the problems and that we're facing extinction, that ecological systems are collapsing. We don't, as a movement, prescribe the solutions, because it seems sort of weird, but it's actually the solutions that divide people. You end up with this fight about this technology versus that technology, this form of political organisation versus that form of political organisation. We're just trying to unite everybody around, we have an absolutely catastrophic and absolutely immediate problem, and we're going to insist on that being said, and we're going to let then the people decide exactly how we deal with it.
Climate change for me is also probably the most significant social justice issue in the world at the moment, because we know there are already refugees, people in some of the Pacific Islands, countries like Bangladesh, some of the low-lying countries in Europe, but the ones already affected are the Pacific Islands. We can expect that there will be ultimately millions of refugees. There's likely to be conflict about whether we let them in or not. And another one of the sources of conflict will be that it will be hard, we know, it will be hard to grow food, to provide enough food for everyone. And so there's very likely to be conflict over that, probably wars.
Well, I think that we have to gather the largest number of people as fast as we possibly can. And I think that it's the truth that when it's a matter of life and death, people tend to come together. If the flood's going to take over your town, you don't go, well, I'm not going to work on the sandbags because I'm from the right, or I'm not going to work on the sandbags because I'm from the left. When it's life and death, everyone tends to work together, because surviving is one thing that most people can agree on. So I just think it's effortless as long as we stick to our central thing, which is addressing the climate emergency, the climate and ecological emergency. Then I think actually unity is effortless. It's only when you deviate from that then you have all the fighting, even about perfectly reasonable things like stop Adani, but we want jobs. So, it seems like a really obvious and easy solution, but it causes all this fight. But when you say to someone to have any kind of future for your kids, come and join us, disrupting the city is the only thing that we can do to save your kids, they go, okay, cool.
My care for my children and hopefully grandchildren one day is so great that this is the only way. After 30 years of trying to act on climate change, this is now the only way I see as possible to try to get the message across to everybody, really, that we've just got to change our way of life so our children will have a reasonable place and lifestyle to live.